President Obama promised America more transparency in Washington. And a new report from the AP claims government transparency has actually gone down under President Obama. Is this another campaign promise broken? Our esteemed panel here, Heather Higgins, Robert George, Karen Hunter. Karen, surprised by this conclusion from the Associated Press?
I'm surprised that this is a story. I'm surprised that we're talking about this. I mean, it's 500,000 requests each and every year. The number that it's gone up is minuscule. We're not talking about a whole lot of cases.
50,000 more requests this year.
Actually,
50,000 less requests.
The number of requests declined, but the number
requests for what?
Basically, this is Freedom of Information Act requests coming from media and interest groups and things like that. The number of requests actually declined, right. But the requests for exemptions from the agencies, basically not to give the information, increased. And in fact, one of the most ironic things was that the AP asked the White House for the background emails on the president's government directive that he sent out.
Do you really think that the president is sitting in his Oval Office saying, "I'm not going to let this information out"? I don't think exactly, and that's where the problem is.
They're still waiting for it. They asked for this back in December. They still haven't gotten it.
There's a lot of delay, and part of it is the sort of bureaucratic mandarins who are in charge of this process. But this had been hailed as, the new openness and how this was all going to change. It hasn't. The reality is that the claims for to use exemption to not hand over the information went from 47,000 roughly last year to 70,000 this year. So they're claiming the exemption that they don't have to give out the information way more than they were last year.
Okay, this president has a lot on his plate. It's like taking over the Titanic. It's hard to steer the ship away from the iceberg.
About to sink?
I'm saying it's hard to steer something so huge away from the iceberg.
Right.
And he's had 1 year to do it, and we're going to, pile this on?
Well, Karen, Karen, you had a good point.
Don't make the promise then if you can't keep it.
And Robert,
you don't know you can't make the promise till you get in and say, wow, there's an iceberg there.
I'm going to have to get you two counseling. But let me just quick question, Robert.
Please don't.
But the problem is the staff. Don't you? It seems like Democrats and Republicans agree about one thing. I think his staff is letting him down.
I would say that he could use a little bit better staff, and even Rahm Emanuel, of course, is supposedly the chief of staff who's supposed to keeping the ship running, and he's not quite getting it done either.
Karen, Robert, and Heather. Great
Brian, thank you.
Brian, thank you.
But the greater problem is not FOIA, it's the general administration itself, whether it's questions about Joe Sestak or it's questions about openness in healthcare or anything else.
Good debate, and it's a hot debate, and finally we're going to have an answer to the healthcare debate by Friday. Meanwhile,